The question is, what issues do we face with the dollar? We are the global currency. There's a movement from other nations to try to form a basket of currencies that could be used as the global reserve, which would, I think, have some pretty significant impact on the dollar and some of the policies that we've implemented in the past. I think there's a movement afoot because of the policies that we've implemented monetarily in this country. We've been buying our debt. Have you guys heard of quantitative easing? Yep. You know, we're in the process of a second quantitative easing. We are buying up $600 billion of our national debt right now. It started in, I believe, January. It's going to end in June or July. But that's the U.S. government basically printing money and stepping in and buying up debt. So when you talk about having a stable currency that the other countries in the world look to, it's always been the dollar. But some of our policies, I think, give some great fear to those other countries about what is the stability of the U.S. dollar. And frankly, when you start talking about where we're at and $1.6 trillion of debt this year alone, who's buying our debt? China. Right. And if you go to Walmart, you walk through the aisles, you'll see a lot of Chinese-made products. And they're pretty cheap. And I think what's happening here is the Chinese have pegged their currency, the yuan, to the dollar. And so normally you have a free, when you have trade deficits like we have with China, the currencies will fluctuate. So if we have a trade deficit, which means we're importing more Chinese goods than we're selling, what will happen is when we have that imbalance, the Chinese currency or the yuan would increase in value, the dollar would decrease in value, which means that Chinese products are more expensive and ours are cheaper, which means we would buy less Chinese products, they would buy more of ours until we come into balance. They don't do that though, they peg it to the dollar. So their product remains cheap artificially as it's sold here in our country. And if, I think as a country said, that's not a good policy, why don't we work on changing that? Well, when we rely on them to buy our debt, it's pretty hard to come in and say, now we want you to change your monetary policy and let your dollar or your yuan float against our dollar. We lose a substantial part of our bargaining power when we need them to buy our debt, and if they don't buy our debt, that in and of itself creates a pretty significant crisis in this country, because who is going to step in and fill their shoes to purchase all these bond sales that we have? So it's a balance that I think we have been selling our leverage in the form of our debt to the Chinese, which I find to be incredibly scary and I think irresponsible to pass that kind of a scenario off to our next generation, or to pass it off intentionally. So I think there's a movement. I believe that the dollar should be the global currency. I think we should have a strong dollar. I think we should support our dollar and need policies in place that will do that. But in the end, the Fed is engaging in, like I talked about this quantitative easing and other activity that's making it difficult to keep the dollar as a global currency. If you